As the world teetered on the brink, the invasion of Poland shattered any remaining illusions of peace. On the 1st of September 1939, German forces stormed across the Polish border, unleashing a brutal blitzkrieg. This act of naked aggression finally forced Britain and France to act. Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, his policy of appeasement in ruins, addressed the nation with a heavy heart. "This morning," he declared, the British ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note. "Unless we hear from them by 11 o'clock that they are prepared at once to withdraw their troops from Poland, a state of war will exist between us." No such assurance was received. Britain was at war. The declaration of war plunged Britain into darkness, literally. Blackout regulations were immediately enforced, transforming city streets into eerie, lightless corridors. Every window had to be covered, every chink of light extinguished, to prevent German bombers from finding their targets. Gas masks became a ubiquitous accessory, a constant reminder of the ever-present threat of aerial attack. Children were evacuated from major cities, sent to live with relatives or strangers in the countryside. Operation Pied Piper, as it was known, saw millions of youngsters bid farewell to their families. They were leaving behind familiar homes for an uncertain future. The early months of the war, known as the Phony War, lulled Britain into a false sense of security. But the storm was brewing. In May 1940, Germany launched its offensive in the west, and the situation deteriorated rapidly. France, long considered one of Europe's great military powers, crumbled with shocking speed. The British Expeditionary Force, sent to aid the French, found itself in a desperate predicament. Trapped in a pocket around the coastal town of Dunkirk, they faced annihilation. Then, a miracle occurred. Operation Dynamo, the evacuation of Dunkirk, saw hundreds of civilian boats, from fishing trawlers to pleasure cruisers, brave the treacherous waters of the English Channel to rescue the stranded soldiers. Over 330,000 British and Allied troops were saved from certain capture. But the fall of France left Britain standing alone against the Nazi war machine. The Battle of Britain was about to begin. In the summer of 1940, the German Luftwaffe launched a relentless aerial assault on Britain. Their goal was to cripple the Royal Air Force and pave the way for a seaborne invasion. The skies above Britain became a battleground, as brave RAF pilots in their Spitfires and Hurricanes fought valiantly. They were outnumbered but not outmatched. Radar technology and the unwavering courage of the British pilots turned the tide. The Blitz followed, a sustained bombing campaign targeting British cities. London, Coventry, and other urban centers endured nightly raids, with bombs raining down from the sky. Ordinary people sought refuge in underground stations, transforming them into makeshift shelters. Families huddled together on platforms, seeking solace in the face of unimaginable terror. Streets were reduced to rubble, homes were destroyed, and lives were lost. Yet, the British spirit remained unbroken. The war was not confined to Europe. Germany invaded the Soviet Union in 1941, opening up a vast new front in the east. Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, drawing the United States into the conflict. The war had become truly global, engulfing nations across the world. On the British home front, life was transformed. Rationing was introduced, limiting the amount of food and other essential goods that people could buy. Women stepped into traditionally male roles, working in factories and farms to support the war effort. Victory gardens sprang up in backyards and allotments, as people grew their own food to supplement their rations. Prime Minister Winston Churchill rallied the nation with his stirring speeches, promising blood, toil, tears, and sweat. He vowed that Britain would never surrender. Key turning points began to shift the balance of power. El Alamein in North Africa marked a crucial victory against the German Afrika Korps. Stalingrad on the Eastern Front saw the Red Army inflict a devastating defeat on the Wehrmacht. The Battle of the Atlantic saw the Royal Navy struggle to keep Britain supplied with vital resources. D-Day, the 6th of June 1944, marked the beginning of the end. Allied forces landed on the beaches of Normandy, launching the liberation of Western Europe. The advance into Germany was slow and brutal, with fierce resistance from the remaining Nazi forces. The world held its breath. The end was near. But the cost of victory was immense. The world would never be the same. The stage was set for the final act of this global tragedy. Hope began to flicker brighter. What was to follow was one of the darkest chapters in world history. A true dark chapter in human history. The discovery of German-run concentration camps would add an extra layer of horror to the war. The world was confronted with unimaginable atrocities. The downfall of Hitler and Germany's surrender finally came in May 1945, but this was only the beginning of many horrors to unfold. Victory in Europe was declared. However, the war continued in other parts of the world. The atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki forced Japan's surrender in August. The world entered the atomic age. The war was finally over, but the scars remained. 6 years of war had taken its toll on Britain and most other countries, but celebrations were in order. Victory celebrations erupted across the country, a moment of jubilation and relief. The streets were filled with joy. But the immense loss of life cast a long shadow, a reminder of the heavy price of war. The cost was immeasurable. Cities lay in ruins, a testament to the destructive power of war. Rebuilding would take years. The creation of the United Nations offered a glimmer of hope for a more peaceful future. A new era of international cooperation began. Britain emerged as a victor, but exhausted and facing a vastly different post-war world. The nation had been transformed. The nation had endured, but the cost had been immense, shaping the future for generations. The world had changed forever. And the legacy of the war would continue to resonate.